and we'll try to answer any other questions about our other cars for you. We have 2 docents here that'll be happy to guide you through if you have any questions, and they'll be happy to answer them. Ed, I'll give you the floor.
I'd like to stay up here.
Well, the dirty floor, but the floor.
Well, welcome. This was kind of something we talked a little bit about last fall, coming up here and doing this for y'all. And the Model B Ford, when I was younger, when I was 12 years old, I really wanted an antique car. I didn't care what it was. And my dad was doing some remodeling downtown Cincinnati. He said, well, some of those houses up there, he said, they got cars in them. It was the kind of houses that, you know, your driveway went into a hillside, and so these were this was in one of the garages. And I said, yep, that's an old car I want. And what I found out was I didn't want to pay a whole lot for it, but I ended up paying $1,500 for this. Was it 68? 78? I got a look.
Wait before I met you.
You're post Molly B.
I'm post Molly B.
It was 68. I was 12, and back in 68, for $3,000, you could buy a really nice car, brand new one. So I cut a lot of lawns. Lived on a farm. I cleaned out, mucked out many a barns. I mean, I couldn't even tell you how many. Well, I hated the sheep barns though, because they mad everything now. But anyway, so I got it, brought it home. I wet sanded a lot of it and then recut it. A couple places I could show you where I kind of went a little too far. But it's pretty much, everything's pretty much original except the rubber. Now I have all the original tires. I have the original muffler. I have everything, and it's all, I kept everything. She can tell you, gotta have a garage just for the stuff I kept. So anyway, I liked it. It wasn't a real chick magnet kind of car when I was 16 years old, you know. But I did buy a 70 Chevelle 454 Super Sport. And then they came around. But anyway, I've got pictures there, different shows I went to. The one thing I did have to repaint was the grill. No matter what I did, because of the heat, it would flake. And it looked terrible. You can see in that one picture, it just looks terrible. So an old guy said to me, he says, "We know how to fix that." And I said, "Well, I've been, you know, sanding it down and prep sawing and getting it all ready and repaint it. I never do it again." So he said, "No, you're taking too much time." He said, "Just get some white vinegar, pour it on there, scrub it, scratch off all the loose paint." And he said, "It'll actually come off." And I did that, and he said, "Now what do I do?" He says, "Then, if you rinsed it off, you pour another gallon of white vinegar over it and let it dry on there, and the paint has been sticking perfectly for 60 years or whatever." So anyway, that's what I did. This is actually, the car is painted in Brewster Green medium, Brewster Green light, black fenders. And when you have a green combination in Ford, they normally always would put a pinstripe of, not the wheel color, but in silver. So, any questions, just, or, you know, I'm not making sense, just let me know. So anyway, I went through everything. I started collecting anything I could find. It was a Model B part. In fact, I'd come up here when you guys had the swap meets out here all the time. I'd go out there, and I bought a fair amount of stuff here. But this is what makes a Model B is unique. Beside Henry Ford, 1932, the Depression's on. Henry Ford's not going to be putting out a lot of cars anyway. So, and he had these dreams of what he wanted in a car. So he wasn't going to sell many, so he also had problems with the motors, but he would try everything he could new. You know, let's try this, let's try that. And this motor here, well, what happened was Henry Ford in 32 wanted a V8, period. That's the only thing he was going to do. And Model 18. Well, I was up at Henry Ford at Benson Library, and they had an ad in the Benson Library. It said, first V8, Model 18, 1.8. That's how he came up with the 18, according to Benson Library. But what happened is he didn't have these V8 motors. He was at the Rouge plant. He could not find a way to pour a single cast V8. He was having trouble after trouble after trouble. But of course, he did have V8s in his Lincolns, but that would be too big and too costly to put in a car. This car only sold for $520, fully loaded. So he couldn't cast the daggone motors. It was terrible. He decided, his dealers were calling up and said, we're canceling our dealership. Because January, February, March, Henry Ford didn't build a single car. And they were going like, we gotta have something to sell. So they were actually taking and making the bodies. I don't know if you're familiar with Rouge up there in Detroit. Every place around there, he had them filled with bodies. This Model 18 and Model B body are the same thing, except it's got V8 written on the hubcaps and thing on the cross member. So he decided, rather than losing all these dealerships, he thought, well, what can I do to get something going real fast? So Henry Ford used his Indy 500 car motor, racing motor. That's essentially what's in this. It was an improved. He used it for it. Had a lot of firsts. The racing motor actually put out 60 horsepower, and it went close to 90 miles an hour. So he started doing that, but found out the motor was costing so much that every one of these cars he sold at 32, the bottom line, he lost $250 in every one of them. And one of the newspapers came up to him and says, well, how can you lose money in Henry Ford? I spent a lot of time at Benson Library. Everybody been up there? You can spend a lot of time in there. But anyway, the Benson Library, he says, Henry Ford doesn't lose money. I know exactly where I spent it. That was his comeback on it. So, but anyway, so you got all this stuff. Now the problem is the V8 was going to go up here. The gas tanks were back here. So then he had to put on, this is actually from the combine. This is the fuel pump. So you had to pump it from back here up there. The reason that I got this particular fuel pump is Henry Ford also wanted to build a combine because he was into farming a lot, and he was going to put that motor in the combine. And of course, if you have a tractor, you got to have a glass bowl. So he had a lot of firsts. Besides putting in the motor, this is the first year that Henry Ford put a carburetor, automatic carburetor advance. You know, years ago you had to have a couple of different things, one to advance it, one to retard it, and this does it all automatically. So that was a first, which he then incorporated in the other 18s. It was also the first year he had to put this on. It's called a snubber. Anybody heard of snubbers before? They put them on for about 3 months. What this was, because this was a high torque racing engine, he found that if he didn't put this in, the motors were twisting in the motor mounts. In other words, popping sideways or upside down. So this is actually mounted on the back of the block against the firewall, and that kept the motor from. So that was the first. 3 months. He also improved the carburation, intakes, stuff like that. This is an intake. What he did is he took a Model A, which is normally rounded and stuff like that. He actually bored them out, because the most important thing for an engine is fuel, air, and spark. So this made it better. You could actually put this on a Model A. It worked right. But main thing is you gotta get the air. Well, talking about the air, he got a much larger carburetor, Zenith carburetor, and this is also the same carburetor used on a lot of his later Ford tractors and stuff. He also is experimenting with an air cleaner. Put the air cleaner on here. It would get stopped up real fast. First dust, dirty road you go down. This didn't work out. So he found out that on the Model 18s, we can't put this kind on it. So he actually had a oil, on a lot of them, he put an oil bath air cleaner. Worked a lot better. Any questions so far? I've had 2 strokes in not too distant past, so kind of got.
How does this number work? You say it mounts to the firewall, it mounts to the engine.
Yeah, it goes on the back of the motor. And what it does is there's actually 2 discs in here that are felt. And then you put graphite in there, and the friction of the engine, it's got 2 mounts vibrating like this. This retards the vibration and the torque from tearing the motor.
That's the side that goes to the firewall, or this?
Yep, this goes to the firewall here. The firewall's here. This is on the back of the motor. But you'll really only find them on about 3 months of their cars. Because this thing, he was losing money, but he didn't say he lost money. There was some things he did later on to make the Model B motor a little less costly. And he knocked the torque down, did a lot of other things. So he eliminated this. Also on the motor, remember how we talked about spark, fuel, air? Well, this is actually the oil fill tube on a Model B. Key to it again is air. Your crankshaft breathes, cuts down the back pressure, does a lot better. This is actually an original cap. See, it's got a screen on it. Well, they put in a service contract right away that in the wintertime these would ice up. You get a little ice or cold weather and a little moisture, it would ice up. So they said remove that. What's neat about that is here's actually, it's a Model A one. See the difference? Quite a bit. But guess what? This will fit on a Model A perfectly. So you could just take it off a Model A and put this on it. And actually, a lot of people go to these swap meets to try to find these because they want to put them on their A. They want to do anything they can to get more air into it. Does that make any sense? Yeah. Okay. Also, this is a Model B piston. It's got 400 iron on there and everything. This is an original one. Anyway, this was had a lot of torque, so it's built a lot. It has, of course, the poured bearings, or babbitt's, or whatever you want to call it. And then you look at the Model 18s motor. These cylinders are just, the pistons are only about that big. Quite a bit of difference. Now the problem is this put out over 60 horsepower. His new baby coming out was this V8, and it only put out 60 horsepower. Marketing said, need a couple more chairs. Marketing came to him and said, guys, we have a problem here. Marketing says, how are you going to sell at a higher price your new Model 18 car that's got 60 horsepower and we can't get them to even run when you get a 60 horsepower motor out of this? So what they did is marketing took the RPMs. I'm just going to use a number. Let's say they put 5,000 RPMs and then they tested it, torque and everything. Well, to get it to be closer to 50 horsepower, they lowered the RPMs by about 1,500 RPMs. So then it got the horsepower down, even though it didn't change nothing. Also, when it comes to the motor, because his racing motors weren't really, he didn't want to sell them. I mean, it was something he was keeping. But anyway, so they did never put on the block of a Model B, they never put a serial number on the block. If the serial number is on a block of a Model B, it's a different engine. Because the serial numbers were always put on the cover. Here's your starter here, this is your flywheel, but right there's the serial number for the actual car. I don't know if everybody can see them. So there's several things that if somebody says, oh yeah, I got something that's this. There's different ways, there's ways to tell whether it is real or not. Also, just to show you the little difference, still talking about motor. In Model A, if you could buy a B motor, not this B motor. This was a Model A B motor. Got a big B there. What that meant was this was a police engine. It had higher horsepower. It was meant to use for, police chasing you down. Be that much faster than anybody else. That was a B head. The Model B motor actually has a C. Right here, C. The C stands for counterbalanced. In other words, the whole motor's counterbalanced. Which was if you got high torque, you want it balanced.
So did hot rodders try to get a hold of that B head then? Because they were trying to soup their cars up, or?
Well, somebody like Bonnie and Clyde or something like
Right.
that, they would want a higher, and of course, Bonnie and Clyde drove these kind of cars. He liked the 32 a lot.
Yeah.
I think he got killed with 33 or 34.
33 or 34, yeah.
But anyway, so there's a lot of things that are the same, a lot of the same parts. Like I said, they use the same bodies. Just substitute. You could actually buy, when they were sending out Model 18s to sell to dealerships, they wanted something to put on their floor. And Henry Ford, well, you got to sell off. Don't sell that one. Sell from that one, because the ones that they sent to the dealerships, none of the motors worked. I mean, they were all just totally out of it. So none of the motors worked, but you got them to work. Later on, January, February, and March, no cars to sell. The V8 didn't come out, and it was out early, but it didn't work. And then I guess it was late March, April, they started producing some. They send those out to the Hollywood group, trying to promote this sexy new high-speed car. Of course, we all know that this would outdo it. But and then later on, you could actually buy a Model B. The dealerships would sell you a Model B, which they could get, and then they would promise you that when the V8s got perfected, they would put the V8 into the car because it just fits perfectly. It's, as you see, that's a very small. The first front part of it's a very small block. And of course, then they got to the 85s and all that stuff that were bigger.
Tell them how fast Molly will drive.
It'll go 90 miles an hour. No problem. The speedometer goes up to 90. Get much past 80 though, it kind of shakes a little bit. Now I've got Model Ts, or we got Model Ts. If you're going 35 on a Model T, you're flying. I mean, you go much more than that, and you start taking your life in your own hands. But you feel like you're going 90 in one of them. Model A, if you did a few things like I did in my Model A, I've used the larger intake for the intake, the Model B carburetor, which are totally interchangeable, and of course this tube. And I can take my Model A from an average speed of about 50, I had it up to 70. It didn't shake or nothing. Just cruised on down. I always find that those little hole-in-wall shops where there's an older gentleman in there. I mean, like, used to well, be probably my age, and I thought that was really old years ago. And they know how to really align these things big time. They just use a bar and move it frontwards and backwards, and next thing you know, it's all in line. Because actually the Model A I took on the Blue Ridge Parkway for 1,700 miles. I wore out a set of tires the first time in that 1,700 miles. Because I don't know if you know, Blue Ridge Parkway is like this. But anyway, so this was a really good cruising car, great car. The interior on this is totally original. I call it has honest wear. Now, if you were going to get into this car, where are you going to put your hand first? Here?
On the seat.
See, it's
yeah,
warm?
corner of the seat.
And then when they go in here, they drag their leg across here, and it's worn. I mean, that's honest wear. That's what it was. A lot of people say, "Oh, you should change it now." It's only original once, especially interiors and stuff. Also, I was very lucky to find, this was in the car. It's under the back seat. These are the floor mats, like what's in the front, except they actually go in this spot right here, next to the seat, goes underneath the seat. And that keeps everything really nice, appealing and looking. But those are all originals. It does have a dome light. It does have a privacy shade in the back. Of course, in carriages, you take a carriage and you take your girlfriend over it. When you got the covered bridges, you went real slow because you could catch a kiss going through it. Here you can hide it a little bit, and actually, I had this car about 10 years before I knew these went down. I had no idea. Of course, you see the handle there. One day I was polishing the chrome. I said, "What in the world is this for?" Wow, it goes down.
How far does it go down?
It goes down maybe about here
Ah,
because it gets in the way of the fender.
Would this one outrun the V8 when they came out with the V8 in it?
Yep, sure would. But he was trying to, I'm talking about the original, the early V models. Because you can get some later V models that don't have the snubber. And those were before he tried to lower the
D2.
power of especially the torque.
So if you decided you were going to take them up on their offer of putting the V8 in it, you might be a little disappointed
Well, I'm sure you would
once
be.
it got swapped.
Yeah, oh yeah, I would think you would be. But, of course, I don't believe in taking a perfectly good motor out to put something else that has only been out for 6 months. Not good. There were 18-inch wheels. Model A's had 19. Model T's had 21. For the most part. The bar across here, like I said, the only difference between an 18 and that is you got a V8 written right here. And you take hubcaps off and put the V8 ones down there. Other than that, you couldn't tell the difference. Also, another first, because he was, like I said, this was an experimental year because he's going like, I'm not going to sell it much anyway because nobody's going to buy it. And this actually, when you turn the ignition off, you turn the key, it's a locking steering wheel. You know, they got it now, back in the 70s, oh, you take out your key and it's all safe. Well, they had it in 32. This is the original, which is amazing. Vinyl roof. I found some products that really, really, really take care of that. And even on the tires, it doesn't crack the tires or do anything. It's really good. It's cheap. So anyway, any questions so far?
So on the A, they moved the fuel tank up to the,
It went right here.
up above the dash, right?
Right. And there's a handle in there, and this vent is now your air conditioning. Came in and blew it down.
So did that capacity-wise, was this a larger
They were both
capacity?
10 gallons.
Both 10 gallons?
Yeah.
But
And
then
of
you
course-
did they have a gas gauge then for this?
Yes.
Because
You could get it as an option.
that's one of the things I always found amazing about the A was you couldn't get a much more accurate, reliable fuel gauge.
Well, you
than
could see
an
the
A.
level, yeah.
Because it-
If you hit a bump, you saw it going like this. Yeah. This actually has a fuel thing on it, and it's hooked up to the tank in the back and up front. But I've bought every repair kit that they sell. I've never ever heard of anybody that's been able to make them work.
It's not electric, it's
It's just
air
pressure,
vacuum.
air pressure vacuum.
Nothing better than a dipstick.
When did you stop making the Model B?
They tried to phase them out immediately after they were really pushing the V8s. But they did have a few standbys. 33, 34, they made a few, but not many. But they weren't this Model B engine. I mean, it's just a lot of people say, oh my God, we got a Model B head here. It's not. That indicated it was a police head. High performance, high.
So when did the V8 start in full production in 36?
June and July.
June and July was full production.
Well, they had it going good enough. Now they replaced about a third of the original motor, and they just swapped them out. But Henry Ford wanted to get the dealerships going, and this was his answer for a while. But when you have a $500-some car and you're still losing $250 over about the whole price of the car, he couldn't stay in business that long. But it did keep his workers working by him just making all these bodies. Now the 4-doors and the Phantoms, Henry Ford did not make the bodies. Murray and Briggs made all Phantoms, 4-doors, even if the A's. Because the biggest body he made was the two-door.
Did they have to beef up the front suspension when they went to the V8? They're close enough in weight.
This was the afterthought because he was losing too many dealers. So no, he didn't have to beef it up. He already had it done. He had planned the entire time that this was going to be a V8. Had no time to do it any other way, but he had to come up with something. Everything's spinning good. This does have a positive traction rear end. It's just a great car. I mean, I've had it for obviously a long time.
Does it have mechanical brakes or juice brakes? Oh, sorry.
Don't they make the Model B in all body styles?
Yep. If for every body style they had, you could get it in a B. In fact, if you look up underneath here, I spent many hours laying on a creeper, and it's just as clean underneath it as it is on top.
I got a friend that'll have it, it's got a pickup truck. Got 4-cylinder, so I guess it's a Model B.
I was told that there's actually one here.
Yeah, there is. We have one in the dealership back here.
Yeah.
The
A B pickup truck.
B.
But you're selling that, right?
Yeah, it'll be for sale. It's not quite ready to go out yet.
He just put a Mercury flathead in it this week.
Well, the Model B was the favorite car to put to hot rod because it's already got the width. You could put a 350, you could put Chevy 350 in that and not do any modifications.
We don't want to hear that. No Chevys that are Ford.
Man, well, there's a whole bunch of them out there.
I know there are. There's a bunch of silly people out there. Blasphemy.
With real fast cars.
Yeah.
The other thing, of course, to keep costs down on the cars, Henry Ford always used, if he got some stuff in from a vendor, his crates, he would have his crates made a certain size. Now, why would you do that? We actually cut the crates up and use them for floorboards. So there's actually especially some of the front floorboards, they'll say to Ford, Dearborn, or something like that on it, because that's what they used.
Come on through, guys. No, you're not.
You get through there? Or you come up here and say something a few words if you want.
Want to learn about the Model B? You're welcome to listen.
Another thing I did put on this one is for safety reasons, it does have a right taillight. They did not come with that. It wasn't an option. But nowadays, especially when you're judging things, that's considered a safety feature, and you won't get any points taken off at all. And otherwise, you've got this one little light in the back, and it doesn't do much. This one here will actually pop it out.
I was asking, this still has mechanical brakes, not juice brakes, right?
Yep. They were making mechanical brakes into the 40s, some of them.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, the rods and stuff. Actually, where we live in Hamilton, Ohio, it's where they made 100% of the wheels. If you got for every metal wheel on those cars, all those years, was made in Hamilton, Ohio.
Your hometown.
Yeah, and they make all the mechanical brake rods. They said underneath it, they did have a few things down there because they had improved brakes, and they had those cables. A lot of times when they would flap around a lot, he actually put little dampers on those. Well, somebody's got you have a question, don't you? It's my car when it's not working right. It's her car when it's working fine. But yeah, I'm sure I've missed some stuff, so you just need to ask. There's no dumb question. They may give a dumb answer. But
Is there a Model T registered?
no, actually, when I spent a lot of time with Benson, actually all the 32, all the records for 32 burned in the fire up in Dearborn.
Yeah, I'm aware of that, but I mean, the people that own them, they got
There's very few people.
Like the A400, Model A400's got us.
Yeah, they got their own little thing.
Yeah.
There's just not a lot. What happens is, you heard a guy named Jay Leno. He's pestered me hundreds of times to buy this car. He even sent to Henry Ford when I had it up there. He sent two of his best mechanicals and restorers.
Did you build that?
Nope. Just take care of it. Anyway, sent his best mechanic, and they spent 2 days documenting every single piece of this car. They must have took thousands and thousands of pictures. And they also said it was the most original, still running car. But like I said, everybody wanted to make them into hot rods. To take out the V8 or take out that 350 will fit right in there, and off you go. The rubber is Firestone. You know, Henry Ford, Thomas Edison, and Harvey Firestone were very good friends. They go picnicking together. And
Along with that is
that was T's, A's, and B's, and into the 32 V8s. Then everybody else started coming in with really low prices because they wanted in. But another thing, Harvey Firestone, when they were putting these tires on the car, they had a hard time balancing them. So Harvey Firestone came up with a way that every one of his tires will be totally balanced if you put the valve stem straight up or straight down from the S to the stem, it's balanced, which I think is pretty cool. So every single car that came out with Firestone tires, everyone, they had the valve stem and the S lining up. That was just the way it was.
Are the reproduction tires made that way?
You don't even know what country they're made in. You don't even know what country they're made in. Reproduction tires, depends on what you want to do with it. I have, for this car, I've got 6 full sets of 5 of different tires and wheels. When I got this, the wheels were actually, that was one thing I think, the wheels were actually black. And they had white walls on them. And everybody says, oh, you can't have that. Because originally when they had white walls on a car, it was white walls on both sides. In the old, 20, 30 years ago, you went to a car show, they had white walls that they had on both sides. You could pick out which side was the better. or if you hit a curb, you could turn it around. So, but I did find some at some swap meets, the original tires, because they had used this molds for so many years that they actually wore out. So they came out with replacements. But I have got some that the original. I have the original tires off of this, but the problem is they're about as hard as this concrete floor, so I don't run it with them. But I have them. Of course, Ford came out with his own tires there for a while, trying to cut every corner he could. Didn't work out for very long. You had a rubber plant down in, was it South America? And it just didn't work. There's actually some Ford tires. I noticed some Ford tires around here. Come on, what else? Stump me.
Well, if not, while you're thinking of questions, I'm going to give my perspective of what it's like to know nothing about cars, to marrying a guy that 4 weeks after you get married, we go to move this car from his mother's house. And I knew just enough that if I put a scratch in it or dented anything, it was going to be divorce court. So the engine was out of her being rebuilt. So he and his brother are pushing her up on the flatbed. And I'm steering this thing with this much clearance on either side. I dented one hubcap. And I thought I was dead. And he says, I got lots of hubcaps. He said, that's not a problem.
There's actually
one wife, lots of hubcaps.
there's a place here in Indiana, down near Cambridge City, that does the best chrome work you could ever see. And I don't care how dented those hubcaps could be. They could be just in a ball, and they can make them right.
Yeah, they fixed the dent out, re-chromed it, and you can't even tell now the damage I did.
So one place this car was in an accident, just this front bumper, or this bumper, from here to the bolt. Must have caught on something he's backing, and he pulled that out, and it cracked it. But it was welded. In that place I told you about down in Cambridge City, I had a replacement one because I didn't like it. But I ended up putting this back on because they fixed it. But you can kind of see right there, there's actually a little spot. But that is actually every piece of steel, every fender, every window, everything on this car is walked out of the factory. Or didn't walk out.
Including this.
Well, that's after mice.
He didn't want, the first time he went up to Henry Ford and we knew it was going to be judged, he got a reproduction. I said, no. I said, this is the original owner's manual. It's proof. The mice chewed on it and it's ready to go. So now he doesn't laugh at me when I pack this and bring this every time. Another thing I'll tell you that we had some fun with, if you saw all the car parts in our garage, and don't ask me what, I know what the snubber is up here and the rest of this stuff, forget it. But if you go back here and look at Molly's gas tank, she has a black gas cap. Do you want to tell the story of the gas cap?
I think you want to.
No, go ahead, you know it better.
All right. Well, this does it. I've had it judged by some really sharp guys, and they had a black painted gas cap. I said, no, that's wrong, it should be chrome. Well, I actually fought. I've been a member here for over 10 years. I bought this here. There's a number 2 also. And in here, it says Henry Ford was trying to cut corners, and he was using painting the caps black. So right in 32, he was painting them black. And the guy showed it, and he said, I don't remember that. And the guy who wrote this book, Rehar, he's the one that was judging me. He says, oh, that's right, I did put that in there. Yeah, these are some of the best books I've ever found. Right here in their bookstore.
So needless to say, he has both color gas caps. But,
Well, I prefer the black because that's actually, when I bought this, or first saw it. That's what it was. Just keep jogging my memory somehow. Underneath here is the vent, a little chrome thing. You can raise and lower your air conditioner. On a Model A, you could actually kick out the bottom of the window, and it had a vent that went down, which shoot at your feet. And sometimes you get pretty warm in these things. I've actually, the only thing I did add is some insulation just to keep me a little, because you go in parades or you go into something, it gets pretty daggone hot. Come on, guys, you can come up with more. But the exhaust I did replace, the muffler had a hole in it. I have the original muffler. But the pipe that goes from the exhaust manifold down to the muffler is the one from 32. I had the original tailpipe until I started cruising around Detroit with this at the Old Car Festival. And when I put it back in the trailer, it was gone. So this is a replacement there. And I looked all over the place. We drove all our tracks, we couldn't find it. Anybody been up to the Henry Ford Museum? It's almost a must. Yeah. Can't do it in one day. 2 days is tough, but we took some friends up there. We were there for 3 days. And I swear our neighbors, the husband, said he didn't want to go. He read every plaque. I mean, he would go down here and read every word on every plaque. And all he talks about is that place. But the Benson Library is up there for free when I was doing research. And also when he was building a factory in Hamilton, Ohio, they showed that they had online a little thing like this, looked like a postcard of the drawing that he wanted to have next to the factory where it had fields where he could run his tractors. And of course he had the Fordson tractors. And you tried to use that? Where was I going?
oh, Benson Library.
Oh yeah,
And
Benson
the-
Library. Well anyway, I asked for this stuff. And if you call ahead of time, they'll have it all ready for you.
And you
Right.
also can go online. They have their card catalog online, so you can go through and see what's available. And it makes it good because then they get the stuff out of storage and have it ready for you when you get there.
Yeah, they pulled it all out. They were very nice. It was actually snowing like crazy that day, so I didn't have much competition in the library.
I would definitely call before I go up there because when COVID happened, they shut down,
Did they?
letting people come into the Benson. And I don't know whether they're letting people back in yet.
Well, she actually was calling when I was driving up there and told them what I was looking
I kept
for.
calling,
Okay.
but that was pre-COVID. Yeah, I know since COVID you have to make an appointment to get into
Well, I
Benson.
just know that they did shut it down. I don't know whether they
Yeah.
have let people come back, or not yet.
This is supposed to be interactive.
Yeah.
You drive this here or bring it in
What was
a
the
trailer?
difference?
Huh?
You brought this in a trailer or you drove it here?
Brought it in a trailer. I usually drive it.
Yeah, but how many miles is it from where you live to here?
It's about a 4-hour drive.
Yeah.
Now see the Model A or this. I have no problem driving it.
No,
You know, everybody says, "What happens if you're in an accident?" Well, then you repair it.
He
You know,
doesn't even let this one get wet, so if
No,
there's
this has
any
never been in
chance
the
of
rain.
it raining,
since I've had it.
yeah.
How about gas mileage difference between the 4-cylinder and the V8? Was there a significant?
I never owned a
difference?
V8, so I don't know.
Oh, okay, well,
This one does really good. I mean,
15, 16 miles a gallon maybe, or?
I'd say closer to 21.
Oh, really?
Yeah. The Model T, who knows? Depends on if you're going uphill or back downhill.
Has this ever been a daily driver for you, or did it start out as a collector car?
Well, in high school, I drove it to school a couple times. And like I said, didn't make it with the girls too much, so I kept this in the garage and I bought a 70 Chevelle 454 Super Sport.
Still have it?
Technically, no, but yes. Let's put it this way, I took it to my brother's house. It's a personal problem. And my brother got mad at me and he sold it without a title or anything. It was my car. And the guy that bought it for his son, who was in the Marines in Virginia, and he started asking me all these questions. You got everything documented. I mean, I had everything documented. And he asked me about this, and I said, where'd you get this car? Oh, Tim Creighton. Isn't that your brother? I said, yeah. Who sold it to me? I says, well, it isn't my signature on the title, I can tell you that. But we decided, you know, when you get to be as old as we are, you know, thinking, you know, well, what do you do? Like I take it away from a Navy veteran that's still in the service, and I just, okay. And of course, he called me for extra parts that I had. It used to have an 8-track. No, it had an AM 8-track, and he wanted that back. I said, I got it. It's up in the barn. I sent it to him and put it back in. It's just the way, you know. We live in an old farmhouse that's all filled with antiques, and I know where everything is and what everything did, and if somebody needs it worse than I do, I usually say, okay. I was a little miffed about that. Wasn't mad, I was miffed.
Well, if you want to know he's miffed, he doesn't talk about the other accident this car had. It's been since we got married. And I'm at work, and he calls me, and he says, I just totaled Molly. I said, what?
I was messing with her.
I'm not messing with you. He was messing with me.
Okay.
But he had put the car in her garage. The door was still up. He got out, and somehow the car decided to roll backwards out of the garage.
I'm chasing it.
He's chasing it. He said if he could have thrown his body between it, we have horses heading right towards the round pen.
It creased it right here.
Little teeny crease. But he's telling me, I totaled the car. I totaled the car. I totaled the car.
Well, in my opinion, that was total. It was like when she smashed my hubcap. You know, that was like, what else could happen?
Yeah, I was going to say, I thought that was divorce court.
I'm sure there's a lot of things I'm not touching, or if you have questions. You can always call the museum here. They know how to get a hold of me or I'm a member here, and they can give you my phone number, or we can find out an answer. I don't like giving bad questions because then I got to remember what the bad question was or answer. So that's one reason I don't lie here. It's like, what did I say it was? No.
And one thing is if you go out on YouTube, he always is looking to see if there's a new thing out there on the Model B. Well, there's been 2 new ones that have come up and that we just watched recently. And both of them describe this as the poor country bumpkin relative of the V8. They don't understand the pre-story of the Model B to say something like that. They have a Model B there, but it must be one of the later ones because they said, oh, they don't go that fast and everything else. Apparently theirs doesn't have this engine in, which is what was in the Model B. So it's been kind of an interesting education for us to see what other people say of the Model B. By the way, he didn't say this. He's only the 2nd owner of this car.
Yeah. I bought it from the original owner. So, 2nd owner.
What were they using, what was the first owner using for daily transportation?
He was just,
Saving those.
they were older people and they just used it. It's only got 30,000 miles I think, on it.
How many?
30,000 maybe? Not much more than that, but it is. So he did, and he always kept the garage. I've always kept the garage. Another thing I'll say is, like I said, remember I told you that Henry Ford did not make 4 doors or Fatons at any time. These are some that just came in off the railroad cars. He's got them lined up there to be used for the 4 doors. This is actually a Model B coming down. I think the one behind it's a Model 18. That's the assembly line. It's the end of the assembly line. If you want to look at it, you can. Don't break it. Like I said, it doesn't break or anything. Can't dent it. I just think a lot of, I had a lot of Chevrolets. Now I think we've got Fords. bathrooms are right there, and everything else. It's worth.
You talking about the old car fest?
Yeah.
Well, I thought they parked them for a year.
But anything being judges in that grassy area in front of the church,
Oh, okay,
then it's by year.
yeah, okay.
Yeah,
This is actually a Briggs motor, or Briggs body.
We've got pictures up here if you wanna look at them later, they're smaller ones, that he talks when we go up to the Old Car Festival, almost nonstop, Saturday and Sunday, because anybody that walks by, and we're always parked right across from the tavern, and he'll say, do you know anything about the Model B? And we'll have 10, 15 people all day standing around Molly. Finally, he'll look at me and he says, I gotta go. He says, you tell the story. And I'm like, okay, I can tell the preliminaries. If they ask any details, we're in big trouble. But it's
She's got the gift of gab.
not what. So, but that's what, when we go to the Old Car Classic, like I said, we always get her judged. We know we're never gonna place, because we have friends from Michigan that have this beautiful 1932 Pierce Arrow that's parked on one side of us, and you know, these Duesenbergs and all this kind of stuff. That's what she gets judged against.
Stanley steamers, electric cars. We're in that group.
We're in like a miscellaneous category, but we use it as an educational thing. And the people from, you know, Henry Ford have come by and said, oh, he says I'm talking too much. He always does.
How did
Okay.
you come up with the name Molly?
Model
Oh,
B.
okay,
Molly B.
Molly B.
okay.
That's okay. It's
And
Allie
that-
A and Herbie T also.
The 30A that we have is Allie A, and it's Herbie T.
Okay, gotcha.
She names everything now.
Well, and if you want, and look, there's a great big huge 350 Ford pickup truck out there with the trailer. That's Big Bad John.
Our tractors, our chickens, our. My biggest problem is we had a lot of roosters. So yeah, got them big, and I took them to the butcher shop. Had them all dressed down and all frozen and packed. Well, which one was this one? Was that Henry, or was that Jane, or whatever? So I ended up giving away all that meat because they got a name. Once you get it named,
Oh yeah, that's how mom and dad work. If mom named them, you didn't need them.
Do they have a B and C head in here on display?
what?
Do they have that A, B, and C head on display here? They always.
I've not seen it.
Probably.
I see V8 stuff, but I don't see much.
Yeah.
There's not a whole lot of, but this car here, you said the B wasn't supposed to be, but in 32, for Ford to stay in business,
Yeah.
he was about ready to go bankrupt for the umpteenth time. This car actually saved Henry Ford so they could continue on with the V8s and the 18s and as we go down the line. And so this car is very, very important in the life of Ford cars. And like I said, here he experimented all kinds of stuff. Let's try this, let's try that, let's try that. He also got really mad at his employees when they were building this. He went out on the line often, and he actually found, he was looking for pinstripes. And on that side, there was one guy on that side and one guy on this side. They didn't match exactly. Some places they would curve it a little bit, some would make a little point, and Henry Ford went ballistic over it. And he wrote up all kind of memos to the factory and said, what are you gonna do about this? And the factory says nothing. They said, all the pinstripers said, if you want it to be perfect, you're gonna hire some new people. They said, we can all go to the other companies, pinstripe. But there's, different body styles have different ways of pinstriping. This is actually a paint pinstripe. It's not a decal.
Right.
Safety glass or?
Safety glass in the front, on the sides. These were laminated though, but they weren't considered safety glass. But it is laminated. You could buy it as an option. You get it all. And of course, you know, when they painted these cars, especially the T's and everything, they painted them with a garden hose. They didn't have sprayers. They had a garden hose and just went alongside here and painted it, kind of like Earl Shive, and it dripped down. And it would dry. The reason Henry Ford at one time said, everything, any color you want as long as it's black. Well, we found out when he's making the T's, the first 2 years and the last 2 years they made T's, you couldn't get them in black. They were in colors. Green and red and yellow. And the reason for that is that Japan or something like that, black paint would dry in 1 day. You paint a color like this, colors take 3 days. So you had to have another area to keep the cars while the color ones are painting, and then you paint it this evening, and tomorrow you'd be putting it all together. And then as a dealer option at first, if you wanted them to shine, that was a dealer option. He wanted you to get your dealer to do it, and that way they could make more money. But yeah, they were literally, I've seen a lot of T's pictures where they got this thing and just pouring it on. But Henry Ford did not say, he said you could only give them any color you wanted except black, except the colors. It had to be black, but that was just for a short time. Then he was, you know, trying to put out cars to make some money.
And the way I heard about Model Ts, when they did paint them, they would paint one particular color for that month. So if you wanted a T that was that color, you had to wait for it to come off the assembly line at the right time of the year.
Well, my T is actually green, almost this color green. This is Brewster green light, Brewster green dark, and black. That was Brewster was actually a carriage manufacturer.
And you said you painted this car when you were 14.
Yep.
And it hasn't been touched since. I mean, that's a great job for a 14-year-old.
But I can tell you where every little boo-boo is. I know where they all are. But yeah, I tried cutting it. So the paint was, well, when you're almost a teenager, you wanted it to be a little shinier. So unfortunately, I did strip it, and then hundreds of hours of wet sanding. But I did not change anything. It was all right, same colors. Everything went back the same. This is actually lacquer, not acrylic lacquer. It's lacquer. And lacquer, if you know, is very forgiving. You goof up, just paint it again, and then what you do is you sand it down smooth, and then all of the imperfections are gone. So yeah. But this hasn't been painted since 70.
That's great.
This is the same paint.
You gotta keep polishing our lacquer, though, keep it shiny.
Oh yeah. Well, I actually I'm going to do it. Give me this. I'm not an advertisement, okay? I just want you to show you something that's blue, purple, yellow. I found that, like Gilmore, a lot of really high-end museums use Wizard products. Doesn't have any built up. It cleans it real good and puts it on. Same thing with the vinyl. Like if I were to spray it on here, in a couple minutes, it'll blend in. There won't be any runs. There won't be anything. It's just, it doesn't make it look like the tire wet, stuff like that.
Those are good products.
Yeah. You can get, Pep Boys. Everybody knows has Pep Boys, right? Pep Boys, you can get this at Pep Boys.
I forget where we had to go in Michigan to do it.
No, you don't have Pep Boys up there? You can order for Walmart.com will get it for you too.
Well, I found it was good. It's a chain hardware store.
What I do is I buy this by the gallon and just refill them. I'm not an advertisement for them, I'm just saying that's what I use. They never pay me, I never got a free anything from them. So. You know, a lot of people use cloths and just, like they're dusting them. Dirt and dust has grit in it. So every time you do it, it scratches the paint. After years of doing that, the paint looks pretty bad. So I like those products because you don't have, in a couple of minutes that'll be all gone and it won't look different. I said, don't take me to, I endorse that 100% personally, but it's not.
What were the two different products there?
Well, one was, it's called Spray and Shine. Spray and Shine. It's mist and shine. It's not a bunch of silicons or anything like that. It's just pretty much natural. And this is called Wizard's Tire and Vinyl Shine. And I put that on the roof up here. It keeps it totally pliable. You don't have any checking or anything like that. Like I said, I know what works, and I said, Gilmore, years and years ago, got me using this. They don't use anything but. And Henry Ford up in Detroit uses a lot of this. Not all the time, but they do. Depends on who the manager is, but you can buy a gallon of this for about $30. Same thing with this. Lasts a long time. As long as these bottles still spray, they're good. All right, come on, guys. You done? Tired of me? Any other questions? Or you can feel free to get in the car. You can even Aruba it. The horn on this is only a 1-year horn. It's got a bow tail. You know what I'm talking about? Bow tail, like the Auburns and stuff. They had a bow tail. The back of the horn is the same way, so it fits back in the fender more.
So it's a 1-year horn for all 32s or just these?
32s. V8s and you can find them occasionally. It's called a Spartan horn, and it's actually, like I said, if it isn't a 32, it doesn't have that cone. It looks like an ice cream cone going down. You can see it. Also, when it left the factory, it has brown fan belts. Try to find a brown fan belt now. So I went to the only people that have brown fan belts still is like belts for tractor lawnmowers. They don't hold up very good. What you do is you go to Lowe's, like I did, and in their spray paint things, they've actually got, I think it's Rubbermaid, but it's actually a rubber paint. Oh, you can't tell it. It never wears off.
Anybody ever ask you where you got a brand found out, or they don't know anybody?
No, they just look at me and say, "Oh, I usually volunteer the information. You can do this." But trust me, I was trying all kind of everything, because these belts are just one size fits this. Model A is one size fits that. Sir, you got anything else? He's ready to hit his hand. He's got more. Ready?
Can you burn rubber with it?
If I put a fire underneath it. I've never tried. I have tire. The only car I've ever squealed the tires on is a Model T, and that's because I was panicking. And you know how they got they don't have, Model Ts do not have a clutch. They do not have brakes. In the middle is a reverse, and the only way you can push the reverse is turn your foot sideways and push it. And I was going down a hill and it looked pretty nasty, and I hit the reverse and the tires were going backwards, but it stopped me. But if you've never driven a car, you can drive a Model T. If you've ever driven anything with wheels and a steering wheel, gas pedal, you're out of luck with that. It's not something you just pick up. But that's basically the closest thing to an automatic that Ford had for a long time. All right, anybody want to get up there and tell me some stuff? You got something to do something? Is this it?
Oh, that's just the Bean Club Grand National, and you're born in 2018.
Okay. I like to learn too. If you know, I always tell everybody, try to learn one thing a day. And at the end of your life, you're going to be really smart. Just learn one thing a day. Or pay attention, listen. When I didn't know how to do some work on this, I go to people who actually did it for a living. And of course, they were going to show me, let me do all the work. And then when it came time to me doing mine, I said, okay, you guys can help me? Oh no, you already know how to do it. What's it about okay on time?
2:11.
Am I supposed to talk for more? So let me go ask people, what have you got, what do you drive?
What do I drive?
Antique ones.
Oh, 48 Ford Woody Wagon, 57 T-Bird, 67 T-Bird, 73 Ranchero, my late dad's 85 Mercury Grand Marquis, and 90 Thunderbird 35th anniversary E6.
Do you have a house or just a garage? Do you have a house or a garage only?
Oh, got a 30-foot wide, 48-foot deep building with 12-foot ceilings, so I'm stacking.
And I guess
got too much stuff in the building.
she just goes along with it?
Yeah, except I can't buy more. I wanted to have one for every decade I've lived, but now that I'm 82, I'm missing the no more. Sell something to buy something, so that's all right.
And you?
Old 9N Ford tractor when I was 12 years old was my first tractor. Had it for 10 years. Almost took a knuckle off because the bottom spark plug where it went into the front of the engine would keep falling out, and it was hard to start. So basically I turned it all the way down to plug it back in, and it's basically shocked me and threw my hand into the fan blade.
I guess it can happen.
Oh yeah, it
And
did.
it doesn't take a second.
Oh yeah,
It's
that's
mine-
all it did.
mine. Do you have a car too?
Not it's his car.
You sure?
Yeah, I actually haven't driven it, I don't think, so.
Not yet.
What kind of car do you have?
64 Studebaker. They still let me come in here.
Well, that Studebaker used a lot of Brewster Green in their manufacturing stuff.
Actually, a transmission is pretty much a Ford transmission, the automatic.
Whoever looks this way first, you.
The cars that I have, I'm not driving now, but I have a 47 Ford Coupe. It's the closest to driving. Of course, it has a Chevy engine in it.
You're not supposed to do that, do you? Sir?
That's probably why he's not driving it.
Yeah, but it's under the hood. You can't see it.
Oldest to youngest would be 24T, 4-door, hardtop. 27 Auburn, Wanderer, and a 36 Auburn, a 49 Pontiac, and a 49 Chrysler.
It's good. Which one's your favorite?
The T.
T. It's different to drive.
It's fun to drive.
Yeah, but it's different.
Just go slow and have fun.
Yeah, we tried to teach her on a T. Just pull over and we'll go wherever you want. You got anything? Just what he's got?
I ride in his.
You drive it in? Jan, do you have anything?
Not yet.
Not yet. You gonna get a Ford or a Chevy?
I think I'm going to get a Mercury.
Well, we were talking all the way up here. I keep hearing this commercial. See the USA and a Chevrolet. I haven't heard that
Yes,
for
they
years. And all
brought
of a
it
sudden,
back.
they're bringing it back big time.
Yeah.
Yeah, I saw an article about that. I think that they tweaked the song a little, but I don't know the song well enough to know how to do it.
Well, I know. See the USA in a Chevrolet. That's all.
It sounds like it, yeah.
Some lady playing a guitar sitting in the back of a pickup truck up on a mountain.
and let me say that I have a 1994 that doesn't sound that old, but it's got historical plates on it, a 250 Ford, and tell them what's special about it, because I don't understand it, but I just know we have a standing order from the Ford dealer that they will pay us $10,000 at any time for my truck that the body's about to rust off of.
Well, they don't want the body.
They don't want the body. Explain to what's different about my truck.
Well, she, strangely enough, got it very early 90s, and it had a fuel-injected 460 high-performance motor in it, and a very special transmission. And I guess a bunch of racers actually seek those. And you know, the guy said, "I'll pay you $10,000 to take the motor track. You can have the body. Take it with me." But then we had to buy another one. So
What year is that?
It's a 94.
94.
And my favorite car, besides Ford's, is 1966 Oldsmobile Tornado, first front-wheel drive since the Accord. I had 5 of them. Last time I drove one, remember when in the 70s or late 70s, early 80s, they had that thing on gasoline, couldn't get it. It ran on regular or premium, and the new stuff all ran on unleaded. So I could find unleaded, or I could find the leaded stuff. So I took that car down to Florida and back because I gets by the gas. And Henry Ford, of course, designed all the cars, especially the T, to run on ethanol. Which now they put it in there. The only problem with ethanol is it gets real hot, it vaporizes, and the engine will sometimes lock up. Should you go buy another car?
Me? I like the car I drive. I just got a Mazda 3, 2006, right? 2026, yes. That I love. But, see, Ford doesn't make them the small cars like I want to have, so, yeah.
You look like you want ready to say something? No. Well, it's just, and there's usually a lot of good people in the you know, the clubs and stuff like that. I mean, it's just a really good bunch of people. Mm-hmm. And if you run into trouble, everybody will stop and help. And the only problem with that, this is just my own personal thing. I have all these extra parts. They use them and never replace them.
Oh.
So there's members in some clubs that you just sort of like, hope you brought parts. But yeah, that with everything. All done. You want to look at it or sit in it, do whatever you want with it.
Yeah, let's look inside.
Yep, I brought it up Thursday. Cleaned it up. It was a lot nicer to clean it up here than my garage.
Had more room, right?
Does your windshield wiper work?
Yes, it does.
So many old cars, people can't keep those windshield wipers going.
Well, T is real easy because there is no motor. You just take your hand like this. It's got a handle that comes through and just go like that. Of course, these actually are vacuum. So, you know, if you're kind of cruising down a hill, you got a lot of wiper motion. Going up the hill, it's not quite so much.
So you're going to be taking Molly to the Henry Ford in September? Is that right? Is that what you said?
If we take a car to Henry Ford, it'll be Molly with B.
It'll be this one, yeah.
Yeah, because
Okay.
Allie A goes to the Gilmore Model A homecoming. That's also in September.
Oh, okay.
Well, every year we get asked at Henry Ford, if we don't register, they call up and says, "Are you not bringing the car?" Because there's not any to look at. But like I said, you don't really fit in with an A. You don't fit in with all the other stuff. You just.
And the Ford V8 Club, or this group here, at a table at Hershey. And I walked over to the lady that was working this and I said, I know the V8 and the Model B isn't the same thing, but I said, They interchange a lot of parts. Do you know any place here that has Model B parts? She laughed. She says, you're right, there's not a lot, but there's this little guy out in the middle of nowhere that has a camper, and he's got B parts in his camper. So we go over there, he says, come back in a half hour, I've got it, I'm just gonna have to dig it out. We went back and joined the V8 club and have been members ever since.
Wow.
Like I said, antique cars, good bunch of people. Very seldom do you have not good.
Did he have 2 lights? Did you get a spare?
Huh?
Did he have 2 dome lights? You got a spare?
No, that's back when we didn't have a whole lot of money.
I see. Right. Glad to find one.
Yeah, we were farmers, and there were years that were pretty lean. So,
We do have an antique Ford tractor too, though.
a Jubilee,
Well, we had a, what was it, an 8N also?
9N.
9N?
Yeah.
Were you, somebody said they had one.
Huh?
We couldn't ever get ours to start either. So we don't have, now we got the Jubilee.
No?
Oh, I
Which
had
is
a
it?
terrible time with that. Like I said, I bought it when I was 12
Yeah.
because I wanted to buy a tractor. Dad didn't want me to buy a tractor, and I wanted something to work around the farm. So I saved up my mowing money and baling hay money and bought it myself.
Our biggest tractor on the farm is a Ford, but it's under New Holland. Ford New Holland combined.
Mm-hmm.
That's it'll fit through there, okay, but yeah. That's the one we mainly use, and the Jubilee, she went to the grocery store up to Kroger's up in Oxford, Ohio. Came back and says, you never guess what I did, and she bought that Jubilee. Did it run? I don't know.
$1,200, and it ran, and we call that, that's the little girl tractor, and she just runs until little girl tractor had an accident with the New Holland tractor that he had the hay hook on the front of the New Holland and was putting them both in the barn. The little girl tractor was already there with sticking her out this way, and he went in with the hay hook, and now she's got a hole this big in her radiator.
Oh yeah. Come to find out on my old 9N, why I used it for about 6 months. Come to find out that they had just painted the engine and it was cracked all the way around the engine.
Well,
That was the problem.
Well, 99% of the time when you buy a car or something, just rebuild. The only thing you did is put a can of spray paint on it.
Oh yeah. But then
Maybe put spark plugs in it. That's a rebuild.
then I had to find a new engine and put in it, and then it worked fine after that.
Yeah. You ready to dismiss me and you want to look at the
Or
car?
you guys come on over and take a look at Molly.
You can pick up, touch, do whatever you want.
And let's say thank you.
No, just like,
Thank you.
thanks for listening to me.
Just letting you vent.
Huh?
Just letting you vent.
Sometimes I don't know what I was venting about.
Usually he says that when you're talking to us, just get up and walk away. We understand.
That's our, we talk like this all the time. So we tell our friends and neighbors, "Are you tired of listening?" Have a look or open up or whatever you want to do. Got your hand up.
I was dealing with you years ago when the vehicle was here, and my driver trying to get my blue light and run it, but then I bought a couple parts like I and write a check to them. So, you don't go Sundays off for the special events? Okay. No.
I think a 30, 30 or 33 or 34 over in the far corner of this. That's about the same color company. It's got the green spokes and everything.
Volume 1 has most information, Volume 2 has what, no, not one word. It's been a long time. Let me open it up.
So did you paint your pen? Did you do your pinstriping?
I did not.
Okay, you did not?
I had a guy who actually was a Ford pinstripe.
Oh, okay.
So here's those. Those are the original. And you can't find these.
No.
they're non-existent. So see there again, it's talking about honest, put your hand in there, scrape there, here, scoot your butt over. So it's honest wear. That's what I call it. And if you have matching pinstripes on both sides of your car, it wouldn't have
Whatever.
There's some pictures. This was like I turned 16 and took it to a car show. That's you there? Yeah. We'll put this on. Because all the colors can match. But like I said, you can see the pistons on these. This is a 60 horsepower, but the pistons are only like this big. Or the Model B's is that big. This thing here, I could say it's not even. It said something on there that surprised me. It's 136. But it's a 60 horsepower. Then they went to the 85s and all that stuff. And these motors, I've spent 50 plus years looking for one. I wanted to buy one just to have it. Never found one, or people liked it better than I did.
Yeah. It's my understanding they still manufacture these.
Do they?
In France.
In France?
France military still uses them because they're so easy to maintain and work on that they bought all the molds and stuff.
Well, it didn't start out that way. It took him.
My son-in-law was telling me that. Says these Ford V8s, they still use them in France on their military equipment because they can they were so easy to work on, easy to make.
Here's your spark maker or your generator, and you have your gasoline, and you have your air, and all that. But the key to any engine, no matter what kind it is you gotta have more air you can get into the motor and get out of the crankcase. A lot of times people put the carburetor on. You know how they get pre-made, it fits 5 different years. Well, if you put that on the intake manifold, glue it on, and everybody just slaps it on their car. Well, you can take an X-Acto knife, you cut around the gasket to the metal. That way you have, you're not choking it. Otherwise, it's just like that. There's a lot of things you can do to make things. And I said the crankcase.
Oh, yeah. Like people drive, I don't know what it would like to be driving around in a Model T or not, but he doesn't.
He was just in the St. Patrick's Day Parade in Detroit, driving dignitaries around in his T.
Sure.
He does a lot of that, frequently.
We do a lot of parades with the she's done a couple of parades.
Thank you for joining us today and welcoming Ed and Kathy Creighton from Hamilton, Ohio, as they share their beautiful Model B Molly. Thank you.